Your job, your mortgage, the price of groceries, they're all connected to an economic game where the rules have changed. The US continues throwing up tariff walls, and the question is, what's Canada's plan to protect your wallet?
Mark Carney laid out 10 concrete steps. But before he even finished his speech, Pierre Poilievre jumped in to call it all show business and no real business. 30 seconds. That's barely enough time to microwave a muffin.
So today, we're cutting through the slogans to show you the actual plan and what it means for your job, your community, and your future.
By the end, you'll know what changes right away, what's coming this fall, and where regular people, workers, small business owners, farmers, all of the above actually benefit from this.
Just one quick note, if you did miss yesterday's weekly roundup, it really sets the table for this. We've pinned the link and we'll point you to it at the end as well, but you'll want to stick with us here first. Alright, let's set the stage. Carney's message is simple. Free trade's little honeymoon is over. We've entered economic nationalism, where every country is looking out for itself first. The US is tossing up tariff walls like it's the 1930s all over again. Jobs, supply chains, stuff that we leaned on for decades, gone.
Meanwhile, Canada still has a lot of tariff-free trade, in fact 85% thanks to CUSMA. But sectors like steel, auto, and copper got whacked hard. And when those industries sneeze, the whole economy gets the flu. That's why Carney's saying no more slogans, it's time to start pulling real levers.
And he laid out 10 of them. 10. Not consultations, not roundtables, actual tools with deadlines. So, let's dive in.
Number 1. The Major Projects Office. Think of it as one front door for nation-building projects. Ports, shipyards, grids, critical minerals. Instead of bureaucratic ping pong, it's here's your shovel, groundbreakers, at 8 a.m.
And timing really matters. The longer approvals drag, the more projects die in committee. One front door could be the difference between wouldn't it be nice and actual cranes in the sky.
Number 2, build Canada homes. The goal? Double the number of houses going up. Double! Not ribbon cuttings, not photo ops, real homes. Prefab, modular, public land where it makes sense. Treat housing like a system, not a lottery.
If you've ever tried renting a place and found yourself holding your breath while looking, then this is the first plan that admits supply actually matters. Doubling isn't a metaphor, it's nails, studs, and tool belts.
Number 3, defense industrial strategy. Coming this fall with what Carney called enormous investment. Translation, when Canada buys equipment, more of it gets built here by Canadian firms, Canadian workers, hooked into allied supply chains.
Sure, some parts will still come from abroad, but the key message here is keep the jobs and servicing here in Canada. And Poilievre, he'll yell, support the troops, and then sneer at a plan to actually build their gear here in Canada. This guy needs to pick a lane.
Number 4. Retraining for 50,000 people. And no, it's not go back to school for 4 years and pray. This is quick, targeted training for jobs that actually exist. EV supply chains, shipyards, advanced machining, stuff that pays, not those diplomas that are collecting dust.
Exactly. If you got laid off thanks to tariff whiplash, this is a path back. It's the government saying, look, we know your old gig isn't magically returning, so here's the ladder to climb into the next one.
Number 5. Employment insurance gets a real boost. Long tenure workers can access up to 65 weeks. That's 20 more than before. And the 1-week waiting period is waived for roughly 700,000 claimants. It's not forever, but it's a bridge.
Think of it as the opposite of thoughts and prayers. This is groceries, rent, and peace of mind while you pivot. People don't retrain faster by panicking. They retrain faster when the wolf isn't knocking at the door.
Number 6, liquidity support so businesses can keep the lights on while they retool. Small firms get scaled-up loans from the BDC, and big firms get longer-term tariff loans, lower rates, longer payback.
In Canada, we always love to brag about supporting small business, but then we let cash flow strangle them. This plan basically says, don't go under while you're trying to buy new machines or swap suppliers. We've got you covered.
Now, before we move on, a quick thank you to our YouTube members, the A-Team.
You guys really help keep the lights on while we read the fine print so you don't have to. If you can hit join below, just a few bucks a month makes a real difference.
You get member updates and Q&As, and we get to keep doing policy, not clickbait.
Number 7, a $5 billion strategic response fund. Fancy name, but here's what it actually does. It gives companies money to diversify, retool, and go find customers outside the US. That Go Global poster you saw on your community board at work? Well, this is the petty cash to make that real.
And it breaks a very Canadian habit. In the past, the path of least resistance was always south. Now it might be east, west, north, or markets you've never even pitched before. That kind of shift costs money. Here's some for you.
Number 8. Buy Canadian becomes mandatory for federal procurement. Now, this one is huge. Ottawa spends $37 billion a year, and historically, a lot of that went to foreign firms. Now, the default flips to Canadian steel, lumber, tech, services, and workers.
If provinces mirror it, we're talking hundreds of billions over time, nudged right into the domestic economy. That's not a bumper sticker, it's a purchase order.
And you know, PP, he won't stay silent on this one for sure. He'll claim he invented buy local between hashtags. Great, then support making it the rule, not a selfie. Number 9, EV policy reset. The 2026 standard is now paused. Why? Because it was forcing dealers to hit targets with cars that they couldn't get. This eases the pressure now. It opens the door to affordable EVs and gives time to draw a smarter long-term plan.
For example, if you're a family on a fixed income, you need choice and chargers, not lectures and wait lists.
Number 10, biofuels. Ottawa's putting up $370 million so we can crush and refine more canola here instead of waiting on hostile markets. It's canola turned into paychecks instead of just exports on a boat.
And it's well-timed. China slapped a 75.8% tariff on Canadian canola seed. Selling there is basically impossible now. This fund says, grow it, crush it, refine it in Canada. More money in farmers' pockets, less dependency abroad.
So that's the 10. Not consultations, not a conversation about conversations, real levers, real dollars, and real timelines.
Now cue the pushback from Poilievre. He called Carney's plan all show business, no real business. Cute line, but if you only read 2 sentences from a 30-minute speech, sure, it sounds devastating.
But once you've heard the actual content, Poilievre's jab sounds just like another slogan, not a plan. Is everything perfect? No. Will some of this be messy in execution? Absolutely. But at least there are real doors to knock on and real deadlines to watch. That's the difference between politics and government.
All right, let's talk timelines, Dave. When do normal people actually notice this?
Well, right away for some things. Like the EI wait is gone. The extra weeks actually kick in for long tenure workers right away. Liquidity loans start opening, the major projects office exists, and the EV reset is signals. And within 30 to 90 days, you know that $5 billion fund portal? It goes live so firms can apply. The first housing agreements under the Build Canada Homes program start. Buy Canadian procurement rules start showing up, and shortlists from the projects office, that starts as well. That's when the gears really start turning. And then in 6 to 18 months, the cranes, the contracts, and the careers. That's when it stops being press releases and starts being paychecks.
If you're skeptical, fine. Be a data skeptic. Wait and see, and then check. Did retraining seats fill? Did procurement actually buy Canadian? Did companies take the liquidity and survive. We'll just have to wait and see.
Now, there's two sticky bits worth flagging here, since you do expect us to be grown-ups. We're going to try. One is the EV reset. Critics say it slows climate progress. Others say it's reality finally catching up. Either way, the goal's the same. Affordable options now and longer-term targets redrawn. He didn't name brands or countries, just open the door to choices that actually arrive in Canadian driveways.
2. Defense industrial strategy. Carney said enormous investment and flagged European cooperation. That means jobs here, but also big procurement debates. Fine, better to argue over projects that exist than to argue over fantasies.
So, was Poilievre's one-liner catchy? Yeah. Did it do your homework for you? No. We just did that together. 10 moves, not flawless, but real.
And we'll keep score. If this drifts back into buzzwords, we'll say it loudly. If programs deliver, we'll name names in a good way. Because the point isn't cheering, it's building around a tariff wall without waiting for America to suddenly love us again.
The full speech is linked below if you want it straight from the source. And if this breaks down how to understand what's at stake, the best way to support our work is to subscribe and hit that bell. We're ramping up to 3 to 4 videos a week.
Yesterday's roundup video, which gives the wider context, is on your screen right now.
Thanks for watching.
And remember, Canada is not a side character in somebody else's movie. We write our own plot, thank you.